welcome, Justas. Nice to meet you. I'm London.
Hi, hello. It's wonderful to meet you. You look wonderful, both of you.
Thank you.
Oh, two queens.
Welcome to the podcast, Justas. It's nice to finally have you here, our esteemed guest.
It's finally, I'm very glad to be here. I waited for this for so long.
Oh, wow. Okay, so where y'all wound up meeting each other? Or like who y'all?
Through Eric, yeah. So, Eric had like his whole like group of friends here and stuff. And then I just remember one night he was like, I think Gwen, one of his friends, was like having a little party at her place, and he was like, I want you to come and like meet everybody, and he was so nervous, but yeah, it was like really fun. And I remember I met Justas that night, and I can't remember what we were talking about, but he was like giving me advice about, because I was like, oh, I just want to live on a farm and do stuff like that. And he's like, all right, here's what you do. And he was like laying out like a step-by-step plan for how I should do it.
Send that PDF my way, because that's definitely the goal. That's the goal. Oh my gosh. Okay, I love that. Welcome on though, because I'm excited to get into it. I don't know if Kim want to jump this off and.
Yeah, well, okay, Justas, why don't you like talk a little bit about yourself? Where are you from? What are you doing? What's your favorite thing in the world?
All right, so where I'm from, it's very important because it's Lithuania, best country in the world. The people are nice, yet they can be very confrontational. So you get a little bit of both. You get a little bit of niceness, but they don't trust you too much. So you have to be careful. So I kind of like that. They're not too overly friendly with you. They're not gonna give you chocolates and candy the first time you see them. You have to earn it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to work hard, yeah.
Yes, you have to work hard. You can't just, wishy-washy come in and expect the best. You have to work for it. You have to gain it.
Lithuania is located where?
Lithuania is near the Baltic Sea.
Okay.
Our neighbors to the west is Poland, to the east is Russia.
Okay.
Yeah, you have some bad blood with Russia from the past. We were a little bit occupied by the Soviet Union. But we broke free, so now we're all chill, all good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, definitely modern international relations. We can, in a way, be thankful for it, but it's like we probably couldn't have been in that wild shit back in the day anyways, but okay. But anything else about Lithuania we should know? Well, if you want to, anything else you want to tell us about the wonderful Lithuania?
The woods are the best. If you come for nature, you're gonna get it. There's loads of wood, loads of untouched sort of scenery and nature. So the woods are the perfect place.
That sounds nice. I'm all for the nature. So that sounds kind of a vibe, Kim, if we want to do a little nature time.
Yeah. To be honest, though, my dad, when I told him that I was moving to Poland, he was like, okay, do that. I'm happy for you. I support you. But don't ever go into the woods or go on a hike. And I was like, Dad, why? And he was like, have you not heard about all the people who go missing in the Polish forest? And I was like, no. And so I like went to go look it up and I didn't find anything about it. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, they hide it. They hide information. So you have to be careful.
So just any woods, like any forest in Europe, I'm like, I might be good on that. But I don't know, we'll see.
You need a whole group to go with, so you can be like, all right.
Yeah, okay. But even see, if I go with a group, then I just feel like I'm in a horror film,
See, and they still will take the group, so you're right.
Exactly,
right.
yeah.
One by one.
Justas, you did mention, because I was just like, or I guess that was last year before COVID and everything, we were like, or I was like, where should I travel? But you were saying that I can't remember the capital of Lithuania again, but Vilnius. I remember you told me Vilnius. Yeah. You were like, oh, you'd love it, it's all liberal and yada yada.
yes, exactly. The Vilnius is where every sort of a person from, let's say, further down, like further from Europe, Asia, Americas, you go to Vilnius, you'll get the right taste. You get the taste of the normal capitals. But if you want to get that extra taste of our country, you go to Kaunas, you get the Hardy Boys. Our Kaunas is known for people who let's say road rage quite a bit.
Mm.
Oh, that's really scary.
On the streets, you have to be a little bit careful. But if you come to my hometown, which is Klaipėda, you're gonna get a refined taste. We have the beach, which is not the beach and the sea. You get a little bit of the jazz scene because we have like a university of music and we have jazz, which was quite interesting. I don't know. I always lived there, but then a couple of years back, I just saw like, why do we have so much jazz music?
That's
and then I like asked around and found out that we have a jazz like university.
So would there be people like playing in the streets and stuff like that, or just like open mics and musical stuff all the time?
Well, usually it's people in the clubs. They just have like somebody singing, somebody playing music, and it's usually just jazz. Or like we have boats which just go back and forth, and then sometimes there's just jazz music and jazz players.
That's surprising. Like jazz music, is there like a Black population there, like, or a larger? Okay, I was assuming so, because I'm like, all right. Also, like, jazz music with its origins and like Black cultures and stuff like that. I'm surprised how it like got over there. Like, how music.
Well, that is quite interesting for me too, because I know that jazz came from America. It's from the Black population, and just my city don't really have that many Black. It's a rare sight to see like any person who's not white and not Lithuanian. So I'm even to this day, I'm not really sure why it happened. Probably it was because an American, a Lithuanian, came back to Lithuania and just started the scene.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a couple people, even in the Americas, who took that music and ran with it. So it sounds good. I'm glad that y'all at least immersed in that type of culture and stuff, and like, well, in that type of way. Although, so it's like, have you ever met a Black Lithuanian person?
Black Lithuanian? No, never.
Wow. Have you ever heard of one?
No.
Or like, do you know anybody who? Oh, that's so interesting.
Yes. So what is your well, I mean, like, you have gone to an international school now, of course. So like, before coming out to the international school and everything, what was your like relationship like with people of like other identities and stuff like that? Or do you feel like it's kind of a more homogenous kind of like identity population in terms of just like?
Well, for me personally, I follow the recipe, all of us are humans. So I just went in like, everybody's just going to be themselves. I'm going to like accept them. Of course, I have my own sort of like, okay, if you're weird, you're going to be weird. I'm not going to approach you. If you're normal, I'll approach you. That's it. Like, this simple way of interacting with people. And I don't know, I was interested. I would like to meet the people from like other places who have different like sort of ways they've been brought up. And I don't know, it was an interesting journey. I met Kimberly that way, and I'm glad.
Yes, awesome. I was just about to say, like, we saw that you said that your travels were only for real in Europe. So like, what was that like going around Europe like?
Well, my family loved Turkey. We went to Turkey like 3 times.
I would love
to go to Turkey.
Turkey, very nice. Although you'll learn the skill of haggling.
No, I hate it. I can't do it. When I went to China, I was just like, yeah, I'll pay exactly the price that you said to me. Like, I can't haggle.
You got to be like, oh no, I don't have no money. I'm a student. I'm sorry. I gotta go. And then they're gonna be like, no, I need to make this sale. So
they're very hard salesmen. They will get you in. They like hook you in. It's like fishing for them. So first you're like, this is quite nice. Like, I like this I don't know, piece of clothing, and they're like, hello, come in, and they sit you down, they give you some tea, and the tea is very important. They give you tea or coffee, and then you talk.
They're trying to warm you up.
Oh, warm you up, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, no, I actually still don't have the money. I actually can't afford it anymore. But that's like, I definitely was telling them, it's a no for me. I was gonna ask something about their merchants there, but I forgot. Y'all can take the ball.
Wait, so in Turkey, like, which cities did you guys go to?
Honestly, I don't even remember.
That's
Not the
valid.
capital. I was like 14,
Mm.
15. No, not 15, like 14. So I don't remember. It was not the capital, but somewhere near the coast, more nearer Greece.
Oh,
I
that
can't
sounds really
say.
beautiful.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
miss
Yeah.
traveling. That just patience is key. I can't wait. So where's the last place you traveled to? I mean, outside of University Town or that area?
Well, last country was Estonia, which was last year during summer, which is very close to Lithuania. We're like
Mm.
neighbors.
Okay, Estonia. And what goes on there? I just don't know anything that goes on over there. So what's like Estonia known for and how they act?
Well, what known for? There are Lithuanian brothers. We're very close with Estonia. We're very friendly. But what they're known for, I can't say.
Okay.
Architecture, maybe.
Ooh.
They they have a building
Uh-huh.
in their capital. There's like a statue. There's like I don't know what the building is, but there's a statue
Uh-huh.
of a black person and a white person. So that's like,
Oh, interesting.
which was like,
People Estonia?
what's going on?
Okay, they must have had some origins somewhere or
Yeah.
something. I'm not gonna lie, Europe, you know what, we don't gotta get into all the details of how it's all interconnected. You know, they was um messing around with that Atlantic triangle trade back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I'm really interested in that too because I feel like when we learn about the slave trade in school, they like there's like the stereotypical like map and it's just like there's just like an arrow coming from Europe and I'm like which countries
Like,
though?
but who
Let's be
though?
specific.
But
But I
who?
think I think and then because okay, last Eustace, I saw you a couple of days ago and we were talking about colonization
Mhm.
and I remember saying that for me I was like just it's just like inherently wrong and bad the way that a lot of European and I guess like Asian countries too, like within Asia, went about colonizing the rest of the world pretty much. And then we like sort of got into this conversation that we return to a lot, which I really like, of just the differing opinions and like being able to just like have like a productive conversation like
Mhm.
regardless of like those opinions. And also because it's just like every person obviously like their way of thinking and like their like morality scale is like their own, and so like I think it's like natural to like weigh everybody else like against that too. But like in the last like couple of years or so, especially with like social media, it's like like we hold everybody to like our specific standard, and I think that like doesn't always allow us to take in like varying opinions and stuff. And I know that because we talk about that a lot and you sort of like really go off on that a little bit too. Like
Well, I like to go the routes that people don't really like talking about. I like to take the sort of the devil's advocate route, or just support the other opinion, the one which is like people are either too scared to say or it's sort of uncomfortable to talk about. I like to really
mm,
delve into it because I don't know. For me personally, it's like it's quite fun to see other people when they're uncomfortable. Just sometimes, just sometimes. But the people they're probably not gonna get uncomfortable because they know you,
yeah.
especially random, like the people who you haven't met.
Yeah.
That's a very nice thing to me.
You're like,
A
when
guilty pleasure.
oh, so what are your thoughts? What's the thoughts that you and Kim were
Oh,
talking about?
well, I was saying, like in the past, the countries which were strong, they wanted to be stronger. They were always trying to one up one another. France, England, they were so close. And one way was the trade to China.
Mm.
And they were trying to find every ways before the Suez Canal, and so they traversed the world and they found a new land. So what they're gonna do? They're just gonna leave it? No, they're gonna take as much as they can. It's. I'm not saying like it's not wrong. I'm saying it's just sort of the natural way of, unless you get it, your enemy's gonna get it. So what they're gonna do? They're gonna take it.
Mm.
Mm.
How did I just the fact that I think what my response is to that is like, why were they enemies? Why did they have to
Because
go
they're
up?
men and that's all men think about.
Why did they have to go that route? Because like it's like we could have collaborated. We could have taken over this land together. And although all our values and stuff aren't the same, like we can even split up this land. First off, why are we stealing somebody else's land? Okay. One. And then two, it's like we didn't have to, battle against each other to like, nobody had to have an advantage over the other. So I think that's probably like where I would respond to, like how I would respond to that. Cause it's like, y'all could have just chilled. Everybody could have just been chilling. But no, y'all got power hungry and y'all just, and then it just kept escalating. And so many, it just like weighed so heavily on the shoulders of the people who had, nothing to do with it, who, was just living their life. Native Americans, Black people, even like, Asians, during like World War II, for example, with like the internment camps in America, or like even over like Japan occupying like Korea and China and stuff. Like it just, that power hungriness, it's just like, but why y'all? Like you don't need nothing else. You're good. But yeah, that's just my response to it in general. It's like, all right, I guess. But do you have any response to that?
Well, I think there's like a saying, I'm probably gonna butcher it, but when you personally stay in the same spot, you begin to think you're worse off. I watched this like interview recently with Jordan Peterson, who said like if you leave who said like if you leave your house for 1 year, you're not gonna come back and see like, oh, it's better. No, it's gonna be worse.
Yeah.
So with that kind of a thing, I think every nation's leader just doesn't want to stay in the same place. He wants always to become bigger, to become better, for his nation to become stronger. Oh. And if we're going back to like why did they have to fight one another, I don't know, like we can go back to Neanderthalic age as those like people, like why are you fighting? Like it's
because they're men. It always comes back down to it.
Women fight too.
We do. Women definitely fight, and as you always like remind me, because women are so emotional and have so many emotions. I think that means that the way that we fight is different. And then I remembered, yes, because I was like, I said that if women ruled the world, we probably wouldn't be dropping bombs on like people. Like,
oh no, you'd be doing worse.
I don't know. I just don't know. Yeah, because I remembered you said your dad. Do you remember the story that you told about I think your dad was working someplace and like.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to tell London that story?
Oh yeah. Basically, my dad works in like a firm which does shipping and stuff, and they had like a hard time, and the boss got like fired because of. Oh, it's bad for the company. You're fired. Let's get someone new. And a woman became like the president. And I remember my father like coming back home, like stressed out, like what the hell does this woman want? It's like she fires this guy. She says that's the problem, but then no, that's not the problem. That's a different way. And then the next day, that's not the problem anymore. Forget it. And it's just like jumbling and bubbling, like what's happening. And my father, like he expressed his. Sort of displeasement with the surroundings, what's happening. Yeah. And then my friend's father, who also works there, told my friend like a very similar tale. Something's happening.
So it's a thing.
Last time Eustace said that, because I remembered, I was like, well, if women ruled the world, maybe things could be different. And he was like, yeah, maybe, but then once a month, every there would just be something going on, and I was like, oh, really?
I can't even hold you. When I'm PMS, I be going to Lord, but you know what? That's still, don't mean that my judgment is necessarily incorrect. I feel like if we could utilize that time like differently and stuff, and although it's like, spent in a lot of pain and like anguish and stuff. If we could utilize that in terms of like, what is it like really telling us intuitively and stuff like that, I think we could, even recognize that it's like even a heightened kind of sense type thing, if that makes sense. But it is a toughie. And the fact that you said like, y'all have seen examples of like these women in leadership positions and like, not doing the best. I think it's also like, who is like, helping them beforehand to like come into this role and like kind of move stuff the way like stuff was moved, I guess, previously, if that makes sense. Like, is there like the person who was in the role before them, like, are they making sure that, okay, this new woman is coming into it, does she have all the stuff like that she needs to, like, you know, work around it? Do she know every, like, I don't know the little details? And I think, you know, I'm not gonna put it like not on her to like figure it out, because it is like what she worked towards. But where I'm trying to go is like trying to make sure that it's kind of similar to what I be trying to say when like after Europeans left the continent of Africa, and they are like, now everybody's like, oh, why don't they have stuff built up already and stuff? But it's like, you went there, you did all that work and stuff, and then you didn't teach them anything, and then you just left. And it's like, now how do you expect them to have that same upkeep when it's like you didn't teach them anything, you didn't prepare them for any of that type of like industry or anything, and then you just left? So I think it's kind of in that same manner where it's like, you know, you put this woman in this position who doesn't have this exact same expertise and would heavily benefit off like somebody who is familiar with it in a predominantly male like centered space, to like teach them, to help guide them in this space, especially because men are probably not going to respect her as much as a leader. And it's just layers to like where different faults can come in. I mean, although it's ultimately on her because she chose to be in that position, but it's like, okay, but who's helping her prepare for that position? And yeah, but that's my argument against it. I'm like, nobody is looking out for the next person. So I
think that, yeah, because I know I always like critiqued America and saying that we definitely have a very individualistic approach to like all of society. So
I
it's
did
like,
it, so you can too.
Exactly. And it's like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and like, you don't need healthcare, just work and just figure it out. I don't know.
Hell yeah, go work. That's the way to do it.
Please give us healthcare.
Doesn't Lithuania have universal health care?
For kids, okay? If you're under 18, you get it for free. You're 18, boy!
Even that's
Get
at
out
least,
here.
that's something at least. Like, I don't know. That's like my biggest, because I remember we talked about that, and I was like, Americans just want like baseline, like what most Europeans get, which is like free or like cheap college, healthcare, and like livable wage. And like those things don't seem
America is
like America makes so much money, so it seems like it should be within our like we could afford to do that if we wanted to, but it's just that we don't, and it just really frustrates me. And there's like so many, I get so, because I really love history, and I get so just like in my feelings about the way, like when I like learned about things and like stuff that presidents or like past leaders in America wanted to do, but then stuff happened and like so they just got derailed, it like breaks my heart. But like okay, so like one thing I love yeah, I'm gonna talk about American slavery again, here we go. But okay, so after slavery ended, Lincoln had this whole like Reconstruction plan in place, and the point was that, you know, all these slaves, which is at the point at like the height of slavery, it was like millions, you know, these people who'd worked the land for generations at that point, initially it was like, okay, we'll just give this land to the former slaves because they know how to work it, and this is an industry that we still need, and that's just like, that makes the most sense. And so that was the plan. And then Lincoln was killed, and there was like a lot of behind the scenes sort of like typical American finagling, where it came to like the person who succeeded him like did not care at all about Reconstruction, and so they did it for like a couple years, like when the Union soldiers just sort of stayed in the South to like make sure that white people weren't just like attacking like the former slaves and stuff. And then I think that president was like either impeached, something like happened with him, he like wasn't the president anymore after that. And like when the new president was, before he was chosen or like elected, it was like, you know, when they need like a certain amount of like electoral votes and yada yada, and there was like a deal made, and it was like, okay, you can have your president if you like take these Union troops out of the South and like just give us our land back. And then they were like, okay. So they did it, and then like the Union troops like were gone, and so that just left this like entire Black population vulnerable to like what later became, you know, the KKK and like all this like violence against them. And then it also, they never actually got any of that land because wealthy people from the North were able to just come down and like buy it and just took it. So it was just like the land that they were promised was gone, the protection, like everything that they were like just giving, for them to, because I think a lot of people, like when it comes to like critiques of like Black Americans, it's like, oh, well, like this group has been able to do it and this group has been able to do it, why haven't you? And it's like, well, because from the beginning, like it's never been an equal playing field, and it's just really a bit like frustrating, because it's like I'm like, I hate to pin it on that, but I'm like, if Lincoln had not been assassinated, things would have gone like in a completely different direction. And then later on, like, let's fast forward to like World War II, when FDR was the president in America. He was super, super liberal. Like, I think the typical American would probably hate him, because he had this like whole roster of like things that he planned to do for America, and it was like free healthcare, free college, all like the whole list of things that people are demanding. FDR was like, this is what I'm gonna do, and then he literally died, and so it just didn't happen. But before he died, because America, I think, was super hands-on, like when it came to like countries in Europe and like helping them rebuild after the war. So people who worked with FDR went to Europe and like did all that stuff that he wanted to do in America. And so like I was like watching a documentary. You sister, you're gonna laugh at me, but I was literally crying, because I was like, oh my God, like that was like a couple generations ago, and it just like it would have changed the entire course of like what America is, and it just didn't happen because people are literally greedy. And like there's no reason why you can justify not giving people this stuff, because it's like, if you can afford it, then like do it. And it's like, because at some point you just start like hoarding money, and you have more money than you know what to do with, and it's just like not beneficial. I don't know. I feel like
you need more money.
Nobody need, some people do.
I don't know. I think a lot of the world's problems could be solved if like so many people weren't so greedy, because like there's plenty for everyone if everybody just took what they need and like just left it at that. But like everybody just wants what they want, and it's just like, stop being so greedy. It's so annoying.
It's starting with that childhood development, that's probably where
I feel like people have kids and they like raise them to like be horrible, and it just like feels like they should get fined or something. Like if your kid is like out committing atrocities, pay up. Like you should have done better.
I agree. And I do not plan on having no kids, because I don't want that. Oh my God. We were just talking about if we didn't like our kids on the last episode, and I was just like, I don't want no parts. And then I mean, I guess like those people were content with, I guess, how their kids came out and like continuing the what is it called, like prejudice and discriminatory behavior, because they like supported them. And I mean, just like the whole point of like the Civil War and stuff. Oh my gosh, okay, I'm not sure if you've seen the video, Justas, but it was like this video of this interviewer asking this descendant of a Confederate soldiers and stuff. They were asking the person who's like really into their heritage, their Confederate heritage and stuff. They were like, so what was the Civil War like? They were like saying something along the line. So the Civil War was like about slavery and stuff. And the like great-great-grandson or whatever, he was like, no, it was actually about a multitude of things and stuff. And that's just what it is. It's not just about, it's about slavery. The interviewer was like, okay, name 2 other things besides slavery the Civil War was about. And he was like, I'm not a historian. And I was like, hey, yo, damn, like, how you gonna say it was, what? But the thing is, the money that came with slavery and the freedom that came with it, like they just wasn't ready to hand that over. No, it wasn't. And then going forward, just like that whole like kind of playing field never really evened out. And especially like as Black people, we're very distinctive features in terms of like different like Black distinct features beyond like skin color, like nose, lips and stuff like that. And so people could very easily other us compared to like other nationalities and stuff. Because I know a lot of Italian people actually bring up this argument that, like we were oppressed too in America.
For like 2 years.
I'm like, and then y'all went right along with all the other white folks who came over here and supported anti-Blackness right along with them to fit in. And now y'all, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know if y'all are very familiar with like distinguishing between like, that person is Italian versus that person is like Greek or something of that nature. But it's still like, I don't know, in their efforts to like be so different, they wind up actually othering us and like to become a part of the majority, ultimately. So I don't know exactly where I was going with it all, but it was like pretty much like the playing field, I mean, between slavery, then Jim Crow, slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow era, and then like nowadays, modern day, it's like, you know, it's still just a lot of layers to just like the othering thing and how people feel like, why don't you got it figured out yet? Or why don't black people like have their stuff together? But it's like, dang, it was generations after generations of people who did not know a life outside of working for another person. Then it was generations of people who worked for other people and barely got paid for it. And then it was generations that, you know, had to figure out whole new industries. And so it's layers to us just trying to catch up now. And although it's some black people who are like billionaires and stuff, although I think they shouldn't be no damn
I'm so weirded out by people who like idolize like black billionaires, because it's like they're the ruling class. Like it doesn't matter what color they are, I'm still being oppressed by them. I don't care
about billionaires. Justas, what's the tea? What is your thoughts?
My thoughts is that the billionaires smart. They use their brains to get the money to, you know, to invent, to do whatever the thing is, and they made it work. And I don't know, for me as personally, like, I don't really like get any oppression from them. They're rich, they do their thing. It's like, I'm gonna do my thing. If they can get me some money, I'll be very thankful if I can work for them or something. But other than that, I don't really see like them as enemies or something like that. They do their thing. I'll leave them alone. I'm not gonna do my thing. If they oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I interrupted you.
If I'm gonna do something and they're gonna go against me, okay, then you know, fuck you, get out of here.
Your enemy.
I think I feel because though, like people, like I guess Elon Musk is now the richest person in the world. Which again, like because I know it was Jeff Bezos, and I know that like billionaires in America made like lots of extra billions of dollars during the pandemic when lots of people lost their jobs and stuff. I don't really understand like the specifics of how they made so much money when everybody else is like getting kicked out of their houses, but like I know that like because I like everybody's like issue with Jeff Bezos is that like his employees, I think at like 15 an hour max probably, and if he wanted to, like he could afford to like make their lives easier by like just literally giving them money. That's what his ex-wife is doing. She's giving away so much of that money, and she's still making so much back because I think she must have like shares in Amazon or something, but she's just like literally pouring it out of her pockets because it's like she will never live enough lifetimes to use all that money. And that's true for every billionaire in the world. And I think it's the same with like Elon Musk, like where, you know, for Corona, or like when some of his employees were like, I think trying to get like time off, or just not time off, but like I think there was like he was like talking about, it's just those people like have the ability to make the lives of their employees, if not the rest of the world, which, you know, is ideal, but like they don't have to like help the world. They can just help the people who work for them, and they can afford to. And it's just like when you hear about, you know, like employees like who are trying to do strikes or do unions, and like they're getting penalized for that, or, you know, they have like a certain amount of like sick days, and so they have to like come into work when they're like not feeling well, or, you know, things like that. It's just like, I don't know, because like I'm not like in favor obviously of like, I don't know, because I think sometimes like when it comes to UBI and just giving people money just because they're alive, I'm not like super against it, because like nobody on earth asked to be here, so like why should I have to like spend my life toiling like just because my parents decided they wanted like,
damn, they should have wrapped it up. I don't have nothing to do with it.
And like I don't know, because like personally I'm like, yeah, like I've come to terms with the fact that like not unfortunately, I'm very grateful to like have a life to exist, but since I'm here, I do have to work and support myself, and like that is my responsibility. It is nobody's responsibility but my own. But it is like annoying because I know that it could be made so much easier if like certain like systems and things like weren't like corrupt. But, you know, it's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Well, I think there's sorry, London.
No, you go ahead. I was just
okay. Okay. I think, like, you can say there's like two types of people concerning like money. If you go back to the fairy tales, the dragon who always kept the big hoard of gold in
Yeah.
his cave, and there's the hero who slayed the dragon and gave away the money.
Mm-hmm.
And you can like sort of say like, oh, I'm more of a dragon, I'm more of a hero. Me personally, more of a dragon. My money, I'm not gonna keep it. Nobody's gonna get nothing. It's mine.
Okay, valid. That's valid. And I think that also just ties into, the way people view money as well. And like, I was just saying like something along the lines of like, that don't necessarily have to affect anything. I was about to say something along the lines of like just how, money has kind of been filtered through your life up until like these points until you like reach these great heights of money, if that makes sense. But in regards to that, so you saying that if you had $1 billion, you would just have your billion and call it a lifetime?
Well, I would probably invest. I would try to get more money. You see, I have money. I need more. So, for what? Well, one argument is for my children. The other argument is to keep in my cave.
Oh, them children gonna be spoiled. Oh, Lord.
Justas has a plan actually for how to make sure his kids aren't spoiled. We've gone into depth about that. Yeah.
Wow. So what's the plan?
It's quite easy. So you don't give them any money, and because you have money, you have to go out. So you leave them at home for not like the whole week. So you leave for 5 days, you come back for 2 days, and you always like you come back and you show them who's the boss. You come in, you intimidate them. Sometimes you're gonna, but I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying it's one of the options.
It's an option.
Yeah, so they know who to respect.
Nation tactics. They gonna be like, all right, so they don't get no money and they scared.
Well, they're gonna get a bit of money. I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're gonna be completely poor. No, I'll give them some enjoyment. I'm gonna give some money. Like you can go on a ride,
Okay, the one little. Okay, that's cool. That's nice. Spread the wealth, spread the love. But they not getting none of them inheritance, are they?
Oh no, the inheritance is theirs. But I'm just gonna teach them that, like you have to be poor to realize what money is worth.
I mean, I agree with that because being a bit poor when I was growing up is like the reason why I'm like I think so like I try to be so good like about money now.
So being poor, I'm like I honestly because of being poor, I don't value money as much as like I wish, I guess. But we'll talk about this right after this little break right here.
And we're back, part 2.
Part 2.
But I was just about to say like I don't find like a lot of value in like actual like money. I find of course value in like the things that you can get with money, but the concept of money, I'm like, why'd y'all do this? Like, and the thing about like when it comes to money, I feel like we could have a better approach to it or like look at it differently. And not as like this menacing thing, because I get anxious when I overly think about it. But I think because our society is like such this capitalistic society where it makes you think that if you're not making money, if you're not capitalizing off of every single thing that you do, like if you decide to take 1 second of leisure time, you're wasting money. And although like time is money, time is also so many other things. Time is relaxation. Time is time for bonding. Time is connection. Like it goes beyond just like this prioritizing of money. But I feel like, it's just super duper stressful, like to even approach that and like in a loving, like fearless manner, because it's like, if you're not making money, if you don't got no money, we're looking down on you because you ain't got it. And it's like, and then like kind of that idea trickles down into like even how we view like people who, live below the poverty line or people who are homeless and stuff. Like people really like, although I feel like since I'm not sure too much for you, but I feel like we relatively nice people all together where we're not about to be like, oh, that homeless person, they don't.
Justas has like he has a little history with homeless people.
Because they're the thing is like life is inherently valuable outside of this like framework of like how much money you have or how you're perceived and stuff. Like just because that person is living, they are worthy of their life and they're worthy of respect. And the thing is, so many people who look down on these people don't, especially they be typically middle-class people, like relying off credit cards, credit heavily to survive. And if anything were to happen, if they had two like really significant like situations happen in their family, for example, let's say the breadwinner, like they wind up losing their job and then somebody else wind up passing away, and like a funeral is like a very expensive thing and stuff like that. It's just like or like it's just so many things of accidents and stuff that could put you in that very same position. So it's like you want to treat people or look at people as their value as being inherent, because that could very much be you. And I guess it would say something if, like, you know, you felt like you were in that position and you also looked at yourself in that way, that you looked at somebody who was once below you, quote unquote, below you and stuff. I mean, that just speaks in and of itself. If you think that you don't have any value because you're homeless, because you don't have a means to, you know, get out your situation just yet. So, I mean, it's just, if you think that about somebody else, you're probably thinking about yourself. I mean, everybody is our mirrors. So it's just like, yeah, but that's how I feel on that.
Well, that's an interesting way of viewing things. I have a little different way to view things. I think if you're like in Lithuania, usually the homeless person is somebody who drank a lot.
And what that means?
Like, what that means is, like in Lithuania, we drink a lot. And when I mean a lot, if you go to Europe, we're one of the biggest alcohol consumers out there. And of course, we have a lot of alcohol problems with our people. So we usually get like a homeless person. He had a life. Oh, well, if I go to the backstory, like in the Soviet Union, while within the Soviet Union, everybody had a job. If they saw a homeless person like sitting in a bench, the police would like get them, put them in like a construction site, like, okay, he's working with you. And
that's
like,
awesome.
that's it. Now that sounds awesome for the homeless person, but for you, let's say you're a construction worker and you know, you do the job, and this random homeless guy who's half drunk comes in, earns the same money as you, does far less work than you, and you're like, well, what the hell? You know, like I'm doing all the work, he's nothing, and we earn the same.
It's not the homeless person's fault that y'all making the same money. It's your higher up's fault. If you want a raise, then you ask for it.
Well, the Soviet Union.
Oh, never mind.
You're gonna ask for a raise. You're gonna go to the forest in the Siberia.
Never mind on that one. But as we can see, it's probably like more in regards to like, I mean, less about the fact that they're making the same money as you. It seems like they need help. That they need help beyond like, getting a job, beyond the capitalistic, like making money will automatically fix your problems. Obviously, they come into work drunk. They don't have the skill set. No, what they need is the skills, and they need resources to get their mental together so they're not drunk all the time. And they need a job on top of all of that so they don't fall into the same cycles. Because when you homeless, then what else I mean, it's really hard. I mean, like I was saying about the value thing, it's hard to like find that value because society looking down on you, you probably not feeling the best about yourself. All right, I'm gonna drink instead of like even worry about this reality because it's hard, it's tough. Everybody looking at me a certain type of way. I feel shitty, I feel terrible. I might as well get drunk and then they force me to go work and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just here trying to get it how I live, but I'm leaving after this and going to get drunk again because I still ain't got a place to go to. So I don't know, that's what I was saying. But please, I'm sorry if I cut you off. I'm just over here like, they need help. My money, they need help.
I'm sorry. Well, with the help approach, I'm a strong believer in self-help, and like your character will, you know, in the worst situation, will bring you out. You either fight or you go get drunk in the bar.
That's natural selection, low key, but it's also like we have more than enough resources to support each other. But go ahead.
I think that's the one, yeah, because I know that like just. I mean, we can, like you said, we have more than enough to help. And it's just like, it costs, okay, I can't say it's free to help other people, but it's like, I'd rather my money, if I'm like paying taxes or like, cause that's usually people's things like, oh, if we suddenly are like, if everybody's getting free college or free mental health resources or we're housing homeless people, what is this going to cost me? But it's like, you can just what's the word I'm looking for? Because like I know like a lot of our money goes to like defense budgets and things like that, and like I don't want to pay for a war, but I will pay for like a house for a homeless person. Like I don't mind.
Yeah, I'm like, no, take my taxes out of the like take it out of it, take it out of the DOD. I needed to go to that.
Yeah, if we had the option of where our money went, I think I'd be like much more, because then I could be like, yeah, I care about the roads and the schools and the libraries and stuff. The war over there, not so much.
It's not my war. It's not my war.
And it's not protecting me, which is like the whole reason, like the justification is just like, we're protecting freedom, American freedom. We're protecting American freedom over there though. And that like doesn't, you know.
What Americans over there besides y'all? Who you protecting for real? Like just keep it 100. But yeah, that's a little tidbits. Did you have anything to say in response to that, Uses?
In response to the defense budget,
whatever you remember.
Oh, well, okay. So the defense budget, okay, I'll go one by one.
Okay.
For the in regards to the defense budget, I think America, as the hegemon of the free world, has to have strong leash sort of on the world to sort of lead it forward, because the number 2 power, China.
Yeah,
I believe China is a big problem.
They on that ass. They be wilding.
They're on another level.
They've been in like, hold on, isn't it like the same people in their leadership roles like since like 1912? Like I don't know, they've been up there for a minute. Like not too much change. They still pretty conservative in the way that they go about things.
Conservative is it's a nice way to say it, but because they have a totalitarian system, it's like if you're the leader, you're gonna stay in power unless someone else sort of like stabs you in the back. So it's a very, I don't know how to say it, like a very old way. They're definitely not democratic.
Yeah.
They say they're very democratic, but no.
I don't know why they're lying. But okay, so we gotta kind of show up that front though, so we like not punked out, and they be like, oh, they took out $1 trillion out the damn budget. You know what we about to do. And
but I think, yeah, and that's like the whole like in the 80s, or I guess it was like from the 60s to the 80s, 90s with the whole Cold War. Yeah, because that whole thing was just like, oh, they're doing that, so that means we have to do this too. And so it's like if everybody stops doing that, like somebody, it's like it's just a feedback loop. So like at some point if somebody stops, and I feel again like when just a thing I feel echoed in America is like, or I noticed that's like specific with Americans, but then it's like sort of just the way the world operates within each other. Americans are super distrustful of one another, and I didn't realize how much so until I watched this documentary. It was a Michael Moore documentary, and he went to Canada, and he was in Toronto, I think. And I don't know if it was Toronto, because Toronto's a pretty big city, but he was like in some city, and he was asking people if they knew just, yeah, about like some like crime, and they were like, like nobody could think of anything immediately, or like murders. They were like, I don't know. And then he went around to like people's houses, because people were like, oh, I don't even lock my door. And he was like, really? And so he like went around to houses and was just opening people's doors. And yeah, like doors are literally just unlocked. And sometimes like he'd open the door and like a person would be in their house, and he's like, oh, hi, I'm just testing something out, you know. And I was like, never in America are you going to go door to door opening people's doors and they're unlocked, because we don't trust our neighbors. And like on the world stage, it's like, we don't trust this country. We don't trust this person. We don't trust this person. And it's like this like a huge like perceived threat that we have of each other. And I guess it's really just innate in humanity, because like you was saying before, like, let's go back to the beginning of time when like this tribe of people met this tribe of people and they fought. Like that's all we do. And it really bums me out, because it feels, when I think, now I'm thinking about like animals, because like ants do that too. They fight each other for territory, and like, is that just like this planet is just like doomed to like be fighting? I don't know. Maybe that's just a simulation we're in, the one where like nobody trusts anybody and everybody wants land and money.
Well, talking about distrust, I've actually read something that like America actually gives a lot of money to charity, and well, that's one thing. And I don't think America is that distrustful. You should go to Eastern Europe. Like now, then you're gonna see real distrust. Now, then people hate each other. Like if your neighbors, we we don't like you, we hate you. You make a sound.
I mean, we do that too, and we like kill each other with guns. What are the gun laws like in Lithuania? I know we talk about that a lot, and you love America's like Second Amendment.
Love it.
Perfecto. I love it. I love the guns. I love self-defense. I want to have a gun in Lithuania. I have to have a permit. I have to have a reason why. I have to go through training. I'll have to go through like the police test.
How dare they?
How dare they? Okay, the background check. Okay, the psychological tests. But then I'll have to like go and do like I think I have to go to a meeting every half a year or something like that. I'm not really, but yeah, for the most part, it's gonna be a lot of work to get a gun, but I'm gonna do it.
Okay, gun wielding.
What are you gonna? I mean, do you guys have like shooting ranges and stuff?
We have some shooting ranges. There's one I visited, I think last year. It was in like a bunker, in like a Soviet era bunker. So you go inside. And there's like a long hallway, and then you just pew pew.
Pew.
I've never shot a gun before.
Me neither. And I was actually thinking about trying it before they eventually banned guns here. So,
wait a minute.
Huh?
So, where are you, London? Sorry.
Oh, I'm in North America. So in the DMV, well, Maryland specifically. So the state of Maryland, which is near DC.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
so wait, no guns. That's it. Not like assault rifles. No guns at all.
I'm just capping. No, they definitely got guns out here. It's they're not planning on getting rid of them anytime soon, as far as I know. I was just saying, in general, in the grand scheme, because the next generation is upcoming. But the thing is, hold up, even with this next generation, like Gen Z and stuff, really like, I feel like they quite sensitive about stuff like these issues and stuff, and they're going to be the people who change these things. But I still feel like I don't know, a lot of people still supporting like the continued like gun narrative and stuff to like keep them and everything. Yeah. I mean, with stuff like the shootings and stuff that's been going on here, it's just been insane. So it's just it's like, and when kids go back into school and stuff, like things like school shootings, I'm sure are gonna go back up and stuff. People been home depressed. People been home like getting cyberbullied. I can't even imagine. And like, stuff like that, they ready to, as soon as they get their hands on something, then they ready to show out. But it's like, I don't know. It's just layers to it, because it's like, if we ban guns all together, then it's like, what about the people who illegally have the guns and stuff, or like still, and like, they not ready to go and just be like,
they're not going to give up their guns. It's literally going to cause a war. I think if America ever tried to ratify the Second Amendment, that would literally be the end. Like that.
Any other amendments that they like pushed up or nothing, or anything? Because that would be like,
I don't like they did. There was prohibition where they like, so they were like, you guys can't drink anymore, and then they're like, never mind. They
like, get the drinking. I would have been, they probably would have locked my ass up. I'm like, what? It's the 20s. What are y'all talking about? Because they was on a whole different level too. Actually, also, okay, this is random and not related, but what was the autonomous zone in Seattle that you were talking about in your
the autonomous zone, like I think it was in Seattle. In the Seattle, basically an anarchist, sort of very socialist type, Antifa, stuff like that, sort of a group, said no more to the oppression of the state against our people, and said like that's it, that's our zone. That's like like they put up barricades, they just sort of established their own quasi country. And
I love how I hear about this.
In the terms of, let's say, why they did it, and then what happened inside is like the police is oppressing us. They're using like too much force against us. So what they do is they establish their sort of own security police force. And what does the security force do? They're even more aggressive and even more sort of violent with people. They like, and there's like reporters and just like, people who went through like the zone, and they say like, oh, somebody's cooking up like hot dogs, and another person is like saying like, why are you cooking up hot dogs? And this guy with the gun came, just like knocks one out. And it's like,
I was just making
paradise.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that don't sound the best. I mean, the thing is, I know a lot of people are talking about like switching over like policing or like self-policing and stuff like that. But that don't sound too good on in that particular example.
Yeah.
Maybe if
I
I
think,
think
yeah.
uh-huh,
No, you're good.
like
I
resources
just,
in regards to like mental health and like layers to
yeah,
like how they
exactly.
can respond to different situations and stuff, because you don't need for that's I think one of the main emphasis of like what we be talking about is like you don't need all this excessive force when it comes to trying to disband a situation. So trying to get different like specialists to respond to situations, because that obviously nobody needed to get decked for a hot dog. So that's
Well, yeah, it's like, I don't know, it just didn't make sense. There's like a loads of violence, there's been loads of shootings. Another fun thing, which, well, to me, it's fun for the person who it happened to, is probably not, but like, I think they had a Reddit site and they had like camps inside the zone.
Mhm.
And some, like, it's just a camp. Somebody comes in, opens it, takes the money out, leaves. And people on like Reddit were saying, like, okay, I had the money in the camp and somebody stole it. And somebody in the comments said, like, oh, probably a person who's like less wealthy and you took it, so just forgive it. And like, for me, it's like, it's my money and nobody's gonna take my money.
Yeah, I'm kind of one of those forgiving type people though too, because I'm like, especially knowing that money comes back. I think that's also something that's really reassuring. Like knowing that I'm not sure about in that particular situation what their money was looking like, but knowing in general that like money does come back. Like I've never, well, it's been some times I've been without, but even knowing that I've made it through like times without money and like knowing that, I mean, it did ultimately come back. If they took it, then I'm like, all right, they just got that one up right there for their own life. And I'm hoping that they do something good with it, or, get to where they need to be with it. Because I mean, ultimately I'm going to be a little irritated because I'm like, hold on, that was my coin and I didn't plan on being broke no time soon. But, if they got that one up, then I'm like, okay, I guess all the power to them. They needed it. They worked for it. Obviously, if they stole it off of me, I'm like, damn, they did the work. I can't even be mad at it.
I can accept if, like, let's say you put it in a safe and the thief comes in. It's like, okay, you worked for it. You actually went through the steps.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, okay, at least you did your job well.
Exactly. It's like, you take it. You did it. You got it. And I didn't even see you. So damn, like, it's amazing. But what did you say earlier, Kim? I'm not sure if I had
just like similar stuff to you. I just like, because I know last year with everything going on, it was like a lot like one of like the core messages was just like abolishing police, which I know like doesn't mean just to like police is like gone as a whole, but just to like give just to put more investment into like community policing or self-policing and stuff like that. And I know like one of our main problems with like when it comes to like excessive like police force is police are answering questions that like really we need like some sort of like mental health like officers or like people trained to be coming to help, and not like people with guns and stuff. And I think that it's just, I don't know, like there's so many people who have just like so like we're not in a place where I feel like our society is like, okay, if we just like decrease like police presence, I think. And I don't think police like are able to control themselves and like stop being like super excessive with people. And I understand like there's so many guns and like so much violence towards police in America. So when police are approaching situations and are using this excessive force, and I know like not all the time, it's not because they're scared, but sometimes they literally are, and they come and like they're pulling you over at your car and you might just shoot them because that's happened and they don't know. And I think that, I don't know, I just it just frustrates me because like it makes me anxious because I'm like, oh, like why? Just like wanting to be solved and like knowing that there's no easy fix. But it does, because I know like we talked about this before, because I know I get a bit also like frustrated too with like the way that we like sort of have framed Black Lives Matter, and we have our own issues like with that organization, but just the way that like police violence in America has been framed as like a solely like Black issue, when statistically wise it just isn't. And I know we can like get into the details. Like it's more of like if you're poor, like you're more likely, you know, that's where like the actual disparity comes from. Because like poor people interactions with the police, like exactly. And so it's like, yeah, poor people. I think it's like more based on like lines of wages and like lifestyle than it is like about your race. And it's annoying because I know that's like how social media and like mainstream media even have like framed it, and I just don't like that because I know people are like, I know it irritates me because I know people see that and they're like, oh, like the blacks like won't shut up about like their equality, but like don't they know how equal it is? And I'm like we should like there are issues and like things are and have been getting exponentially better for Black people, for people of color in general. Maybe not Asian people as of late, which is like a whole other thing because I feel like every day I'm seeing like another I used to just go off, but yeah, I feel like every day I'm seeing like another Asian person getting attacked and I'm like, was this happening before and I just didn't know about it? I'm just so like just out of my depth when it comes to that specifically. But go ahead, Eustace.
With the Asians. So the thing is, the whole Asian thing happened, well, it's sort of started or gained more power or something after the guy shut up the parlor places. And my sort of thing is, like what I would like people to know more of is that the Chinese government is actually very, very involved with this. There's been a person who lived in China who knows Chinese went into one of these Stop Asian Hate, like I don't know, protests, and what he saw is that a person who holds like Stop the CCP was China, like the communist, basically China's government stopped CCP from lying. He, like other people, were blocking his sign, which is like stop hate against the CCP, stop hate against Asians. So there's a lot of involvement. The Chinese Communist Party has like sent people out to like send the message like stop the hate against their government, the Chinese government, and then stop the hate against Asian people. Well, the Chinese government is the main proponent of Chinese hate. Like in China.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, are they having Stop Asian Hate protests in China?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you. And I was like, why?
Well, the protests in China they work very differently.
Yeah, I remember the ones in Hong Kong and stuff, and like there's like very different than like what's going on like in America.
I'm not talking about Hong Kong, like in mainland China, like not Hong Kong. You have to tell the government that you're gonna protest. What's the reason? And then you have to kneel.
We do that. I mean, every country does that. I thought like you always have to report that you're doing a protest.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, well, you don't just send them. You have to get, okay, you're gonna do this. Then there's gonna be plenty of guards. And the third thing, you have to like kneel. You can like look up on the internet like Chinese protests. The people are kneeling down because you cannot like stand up against the government. And then the government, of course, has to approve it, which is well, sort of fine, but it really does so. So what like the main thing is that the Chinese government is very involved with this Stop Asia Hate, and even the shooter, the Chinese government are like framing him so that he's like against the the Chinese people as in the government.
So,
oh, sorry.
So can you repeat that last part? The Chinese people like are supporting the government or no?
Well, the Chinese government says that Chinese people are supporting the government, while in reality, a large majority of Chinese or Asians who are in America, they escaped from China.
Yeah. Okay. Facts. And it's like, no, CCP, we're not actually going to use this time to support you because that's not what we was doing. We just wanted to stop Asian hate and go with the CCP. Actually, low key. Damn. Okay. And they involved with like trying to like censor and stuff and like.
Yeah.
Makes sense because they really, I just hate that they be doing all this censoring stuff as if we don't know the truth. Like, it's so funny to me.
Well, like, it's not for, I know it's like, it's for us to an extent, but I think it's mainly because like a lot of their social media and stuff, like that's the people in China don't have access to it. So like that stuff is that part is like for us, like that performance, but like within it, it's like, they are being censored in the sense that like they can't Google anything because they can't access Google. So they're just like on WeChat.
No, not on WeChat, and they be, getting those same messages. Which reminds me, I watched this like YouTuber who used to live in China. This white guy who used to live in China, and he used to like compare like what you would see on like Chinese TikTok or something like that, I think, versus like American like TikTok and stuff in regards to like the messages that they get. And like they really be pressing it. They be like, oh my gosh, like China is so great. Like I remember it was like around Corona time at the beginning. Corona the drink. But they were like, pretty much was saying like in the TikToks, like, yeah, China is doing like amazing, like China is good, but like on American TikTok and stuff, like they telling the tea, they saying like, they not on their good stuff, like they're not doing good. So it was just a lot going on over there. But I think all in all, like, I guess I'm glad that overall like the Asian community is getting attention and stuff, because I do feel like they, as the model minority, they get heavily ignored because of it, because they're automatically deemed to be like okay and stuff.
And that's because I've been like just like reading a little bit more about that too, because I think honestly, like because of like where I grew up, like most people I knew in general tended to be like wealthier, and so therefore like the Asian people I met too were like wealthier. But then it's like, and that's the narrative that we have, is that they like come to America, they start businesses, and they're successful. And it's just like there are a lot of Asian people in America who are below the poverty line and are really, really struggling, and it's like that's just not a narrative that we see for some reason. And like it sucks, because it's like every sort of group of person in America, we like all have this like vision, I don't know, like this like image of like what we are or like who we should be or whatever, but that's just like not the full scope. And I don't think that every group, I don't know, not every group in America has that, but maybe it's just like, maybe they do, because I feel like there's stereotypes about Italians from Jersey and New York and stuff. But I don't think those stereotypes like stop them from getting jobs or getting houses or loans and stuff. But maybe they do. I'm not a loan officer, so I don't know. But
facts. I feel like it's definitely it's gonna be the person, whoever is the person doing the applications that day. It's up to them in their own mind just to determine
whatever their boss like told them.
Like no Italians, and it's like, huh? Like what? But yeah, like as like, for example, for them, like as the model minority and stuff, and like their relation to whiteness and stuff, which kind of granted them this like kind of title or like categorization. Yes, like and the thing is, like you said, like the distinction between like it's not just these people who came over here and just automatically like started businesses and made a whole bunch of money. Like it's actually, I remember reading this book called The New Chinatown, talking about Chinese immigration and stuff, and it was talking about how there is like a distinction between like the people who you see as the model minority, who get like all the good grades and who like has money, doing very well for themselves and stuff. Those were typically people who were doing quite well in China, and they just immigrated to America, and it was as simple as that. Whereas a lot of people, they come over to America with very little options. They don't have money. They wind up in places like Chinatowns and stuff, which are like heavily overpopulated and underpaid and stuff. They wind up working in a lot of family businesses and like maintain their whole lifetimes typically in these one areas, because it's still hard to like get to the next step. Like when you don't got no money, I mean, you gotta like start from the bottom. And I mean, although it's possible and stuff, like it's still a distinction between like who we view as like the Asian person, because I feel like in my head I'll be like, oh yeah, they got money too, but then I also have very little contact with Asian people in general, and including like people who probably more so in my tax bracket than, because in high school, that's probably where I saw Asian people at only, and they had money. So I don't, I couldn't speak too much on like what their experiences was like, but they had cash. So but yeah, in general, we all, stereotypes all in all just like, not good for anybody, because it don't make anybody feel seen as the individual that they are.
Yeah.
And they either got to live up or like outgrow some type of idea placed on them and stuff. But I did want to ask you, Justas, and your questions, okay, this is not related. This is on to the next little thing, if y'all don't mind. But you say you don't trust women fully. What is that about?
I don't trust them fully. I put my trust in them. I put my trust in them before, and my heart was broken.
Your heart. I felt.
That's one example. Another example. They just made me very angry, and I'm like, I'm not dealing with this stuff. I'm going home.
What about your lovely girlfriend Alvina? Do you
Alvina, currently wonderful person, lovely lady, love her to bits. So I would say the one reason I'm staying with her because she, like, I can put my trust in her. She earned my trust. So that sort of this trust is being slowly taken apart. So now, you know, slowly I'm trusting women more. But before, and hell no, not gonna happen. One woman broke my heart. That's it.
Oh, gotcha. So like when it comes to, because I know you also in the questionnaire you were saying that when you sort of like speak to your grandmother, and the one time in particular when we spoke to her and she was kind of like talking about like you know, just like life and sort of like the sadness that you're having to overcome and things like that, and like your mom sort of echoed that sentiment. Like when it comes to like women in your, I mean, I guess like it's like obviously like in your family it's probably different, but like do you feel like the way like the models for women that you had growing up, like do you at all feel like that impacts the way that you view just women and, you know, in like a larger aspect?
I think so. Yeah, I think it does impact the way I think it does impact the way I like women, what kind of women I like, because my grandmother, my mother, they're strong. They're like the women of the house. They're strong. You're gonna tell them shit, they're gonna, you know.
Yeah.
you can't do that.
Yeah, I like that.
So, you know, with the girlfriend I have right now, she'll smack me, you know. Like I'm gonna talk shit, I'm gonna get smacked.
And you like that kind of like her kind of setting her own like boundaries and like saying like, you know, I'm not, just because you saying all of that, like I'm not playing with you, boy, like no. I'm not.
But like I don't want to say I'm like a boundary pusher, but I like to sometimes like push the boundaries, and I like that you know, the woman says like no. You know, she hits back.
Yeah, really set her so like. Yeah, I think that's like a lot of things that I think it kind of is a part of like kind of that challenge thing that because I be like kind of looking into like different like ways men and women, of course, like sticking within the binary and stuff, but like men and women are socialized and stuff, and they said that men like typically like a challenge, like they like to like kind of, I don't know. It's like something in regards to like that boundary setting, and then like slowly but surely, like, you know, easing yourself into different spaces is like more their thing and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's like kind of an example of, I think, that being the case. But ultimately, I do think like men and women are kind of socialized differently and kind of respond differently. Like you said, emotional. Women are more emotional, and I mean that I think directly ties into like our biology and just like our testosterone and our estrogen levels and stuff. And we obviously have more estrogen and testosterone. Even in people who transition or start taking what is it called, like different hormone. For like transitioning and everything, they even say that they feel like a difference in like their emotional response. Like when they were, you know, more feminine or had more estrogen and stuff, they like said like, yeah, I was real emotional, but like, you know, they started transitioning and they like, I don't even respond to stuff in the same, like stuff doesn't affect me in the same way. And I think that's just like a telltale sign that like, you know, we are like, just ingrained to respond to stuff differently. But ultimately, I be thinking that like femininity is about like learning and discovering who you are, whereas I feel like masculinity is about owning who you are. So it's like I feel like men are very easy to like make action, like act, whereas women are very easy to think and ponder and consider the multiple options and things of that nature. And I mean, it goes hand in hand. I mean, we just we're compatible in terms of just like the energies and stuff like that. So I mean, it all works out because we don't need everybody acting what their first thought, and we don't need everybody just sitting and thinking and just, because then no action will get made. But anyways, yeah, that was my TED Talk.
Yeah.
Before the break, I got a great idea about estrogen. Estrogen is the male hormone, right?
No.
The female.
Yeah.
Well, what's the male one?
Testosterone.
Testosterone. Okay, if Albina is too emotional, I'll put a little testosterone
No.
in the cookie. Nobody's gonna know.
Literally, it'd be like that. I mean, estrogen blockers, I low-key need some of them because I be.
No, I was thinking of that. Like, what if I just, that just to see the world in a different light, in the same way that I'm like, let me take this acid or these shrooms, let me take some testosterone.
Literally.
What time is it, you guys? My phone is recording, so I can't even see.
1:31 where I'm at.
Okay, so that means it's 5:31 here.
6:31.
6:30. It's 6:31. You can
Yeah.
come. Just hop on a plane, London. Hop on a plane.
Low-key,
I'll introduce you. Into how to drink properly, because I have to teach Kim how to drink properly. Okay, a lot of people don't know how to drink properly. Okay, it's not easy. It's a skill you have to learn.
Go on, Justas. Sorry.
No, okay. I just
wanted to ask you a question, but go on.
A small little tidbit. You said something about the poverty line, and I got a little truth to tell you.
Come on.
You know how China fixed their poverty line?
I didn't know that they had, but they haven't, have they?
They have like a lot of people under the poverty line before. So you know how they fixed it?
They lowered it.
Yes, they lowered the poverty line to the point where everybody rich.
Good.
Like, oh damn, they actually getting paid.
You gotta applaud that ingenuity.
Y'all, they are in 3008. They thinking so ahead. Like all you had to do was just, unless people are in poverty, like that's it. That sucks ass though, because it's like
one thing that I really, I think like I like watching videos about China, and I was watching this one, and they were talking about, back when they had their one child policy, which I didn't realize ended as recently. It was either like 2011 or 2015, like incredibly recently, but like they ended it too late. I mean, it was too late. Like the damage is done. Their population now is just like too many men, and so many to the point where like they're now like going forward having kids, their population is going to like steeply drop. But also like prior to that, like they have this population, like a growing population of old people and not enough children or people in general to take care of them. So they're building these like mega cities that are like retirement home cities pretty much to like put all the old people, because, and again, like another thing, because it's modernizing so quickly, China is, a lot of people who lived in like rural areas are leaving to go to the big cities and leaving their parents behind, and their parents are just like abandoned, like alone. And it's just like it's like I guess because like China's going through like in like probably 30 years what England and America went through like over the course of like 100 years, like in the 1800s in the Industrial Revolution. They're doing all that like super quickly, and so it's just like so many like growing pains, and like is really being shown like in the population like dynamics, because it's just like there's like no recovering from it, and it really sucks. Anyway, enough about China. Okay, so because I will go on and on. Okay, Justas, I remember the one other time you were over and Eric and I were chatting, and you were telling us your first year, not last year, but like your first year when you came to Newcastle, and when you like hadn't like made like you didn't go out of your way to be like super social and stuff, and just like the way that like that sort of like made your year play out. But like in terms of like moving forward, I guess, and like how important do you find it, I guess, just like making personal connections and stuff like that?
Well, coming back to like the actual story, it's basically I came to England and I was very, I guess, confident in the opinion that like I don't need nobody. I'm here. I'm the important one. Fuck everybody. That's it. Like I'm here. I'm not gonna go out of my way to like either please other people, meet other people. I'm just gonna be here, who I am, and that's it. And think that was a big mistake which I made. I should have met more people. I was first time alone in a foreign land. I didn't know nobody. I didn't know how it worked. I didn't even understand people half of the time because of the accent. So, in reality, I was overestimating my ability to be, I don't know, alone. And then after some time, I was just like, I got like really sad. I got in a very depressed state. So I'm like staying alone in my room, not going out, not meeting people, not talking to anyone. And I got like sick. But my temperature was quite high. And I'm just sitting in the bed and I'm like, I want like some soup or like I want some water. Like I can't call anyone. I don't really talk to my neighbors. Like I'm just alone. I can call my mom, but like my mom is then gonna be very scared. So I'm like, I'm not gonna inform my parents. So I'm just alone. That's it. Nobody. And then I said, okay, let me repeat it. So next year I'm gonna meet new people. And this year, last year, I met a lot of new people. So I'm a hell of a lot more great.
Yeah.
And I think it was a very important time in my life because it showed to me that however strong I am, I still need people around me who either support me or even push me down, but at least it's something that is feasible. So yeah, the importance of people around you is very strong, even if we don't believe it.
Yeah, definitely. And then like, because I know you also said that when it comes to like traveling and I guess like studying abroad more so, because that's like you really like make like a base and like meet lots of people. But you were saying that like it just like you feel like it affects your psychology because you like make all these connections and then they just go and and I remembered like because you were saying that and I was like on one hand like you are correct because like some of the people you meet you just like will never see again and like that really does sort of suck, but then it's like on the other hand it's like well you now have people like all over the world that you sort of like are broadening your world and like if things like work out you'll be able to see them and things like that. But do you feel that at all, or is it just mainly just like the negative like sort of like aspect of it?
For me personally, it's that I don't know, from like childhood, I had a very hard time keeping up with like friendships. So let's say I had a friend for like 10 years, we were classmates, and then either he went away or I went away. And for some reason, I find it very hard to like message them like every week or every like month. So like I forget or like I just don't. And then as time goes on, I just don't and I don't. And even though like, oh yes, I have him, I know him, I haven't talked to him for like 3 to 5 years. And I think like, well, I lost somebody. So like for me personally, if I traveled a lot and I met like a lot of new people and made a lot of new friends, it would just be like, okay, I met this person and then he just left. And then like, the sort of psychology behind friendships would diminish because I just like meet new people. They're my friends. I leave them. That's it. No, nothing sort of residual. It's like always short term.
Do you care to like create any lifelong lasting relationships? And are you okay? Then are you ready to do the work to do it? Like, because I also agree when it comes to like it can be quite hard to like reach back out to people after you haven't spoken to them in a long time, but in the same way of kind of like making people uncomfortable in a way, like when you say something like outrageous, I think it's on almost similar to like not even necessarily making them uncomfortable, but it's like kind of in that same breath, like you can think of it like me reaching out to them, like what's the worst that they could, like what's the worst response that I could get in return, like no matter how much time went past. And honestly, a lot of people that I've met actually in my travels, they really do appreciate when I do reach back out. And I think when Cem and I started Wanderlusty and got this project all together, I was reaching out to people who I haven't talked to in years and stuff. And they were just so excited actually to just catch up and reconnect and just like see where we at right now and stuff. And like, it wasn't no hard feelings about like having grown distant from each other, because the older we get, the more that we recognize life goes on. Life is very busy. Life has so many components that we can't, it would be wrong for us to be like looking at each other like, damn, you ain't hit me up in 3 to 5 years and like we're not friends anymore. It's like, hold up, but you didn't hit me up in 3 to 5 years either. And so for me to do that effort to reconnect or to maintain relationships and stuff going forward, like people actually wind up appreciating it a lot more and stuff, because they also have the same difficulty. And I mean, most people wouldn't hold it against you if you did like take your time. And I feel like, I don't know, like if like with Kim, she like definitely a person I talk to quite often, especially in regards to the podcast and stuff. But I'm sure that like if I was working a different type of job, or Kim was working like somewhere else and had a super busy schedule, and you know, all these new friends that, you know, of course y'all all know each other over there and stuff, like I mean, it's very possible that me and Kim probably wouldn't even speak as much as we did, unless that's why we also created this project, so we could maintain relationships and stuff, because like we know how difficult it is. And you know, sometimes, you know, talking to people one-on-one, at least for me, I get a little socially anxious. So I think like kind of this type of group format is really nice and stuff. And like, I don't know, even with like some people, you can be like, oh, can we do a group FaceTime, or like, you know, just whatever. So everybody's energies can kind of just bounce off each other, as opposed to like, you know, we just looking at each other like, so what you been up to for the last 9 years? Like, I have no idea. But I mean, yeah, I feel you 100%. Maintaining relationships in general is just, it takes work. But yeah, you got the strength to do it. And yeah, I just love also that you said like, you know, your revelation on realizing that it's like not just you, like that you really do need connections and stuff, and like, you know, that you need people around you and everything, because we don't exist in this world alone, and we're actually very social creatures, very social animals and stuff. So we need each other. From the earphones, we needed somebody to make the earphones, somebody to make our clothes, somebody to make these devices that we on and everything. So yeah, we need everybody. We do need everybody. I mean, everybody just need to do some work on themselves. But yeah, for the most part, we do need everybody.
Oh yeah, another reason why I'm sometimes like make a little awkward situation. Like I found about I didn't find it. I created this sort of idea. Of course, I'm very original. That like last year when I'm gonna meet people, I'm gonna be a little bit more. So how to say, like I'll try to push some buttons. I'm gonna be a little bit more like I'll maybe make fun of you a little bit too much, just to see how to handle it. Because I wanted to have like lasting relationships, and if I know that somebody like can't take a joke, or you know, can't really take me when sometimes I get drunk, sometimes I say too much, and you know, if you can't take me at 10 and then you get too angry, then how can I, you know, be happy with myself? I want to be me 100% at all time. And if you can take that, you're going to be with me. If you can't, well, I'll see you sometime.
I feel that on some aspect too. I find that I really want to just be 100% myself with everybody that I'm around. I know that's not possible, because when I'm 100% myself, I'm mean, and like, I just don't want to hurt people's feelings. And like, but it is frustrating, because I'm like, in a perfect world, obviously I could just be like, there's no like actual like ill intent. I just want to like, you know, just be myself, and like, let's just like have a good time about it. But like, I don't know, it's a hard one. So cause like, I know, like I said, like, cause like I'm a person who's like very blunt and like sort of like really, you know, like kind of similar to like what you're like describing, but like I'm also like quite sensitive. But do you find that like you also are you like able to like, you know, put out like the same sort of like pressure, or like the, you know, pushing the buttons, and like sort of like receive it in the same way, do you think?
Well, I believe in like, I would go, I think, as much as I could handle. You know, like, I wouldn't go out of my way to push somebody's buttons, unless like it's an actual mistake, which I will like say sorry afterwards. If I do that, I'll say sorry. But usually I just like do as much as I would handle. You know, there's the saying, like, don't do to someone else what you wouldn't do to you.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't want to be done to you. So I'll just follow that sort of saying to its extreme, so to speak.
I love that. People accept people for who they are, and also show up as who you are, and show up who you want to be like received at any given moment. I think as women though, and let me speak for myself though also, but I feel like a lot of women or feminine people in general has had this kind of people pleasing, kind of wanting to make sure everybody's good, like consideration for everybody, like kind of ingrained in us from a young age, where it's like we gotta our priority is to make sure everything is good in comparison to like being ourselves or knowing ourselves and making sure that we're good as the individual. But yeah, I think I was just bringing that up to say, I think like it's just kind of a transition also to like really own who you are and really like be able to show up as yourself and be able to like receive the responses that comes from being yourself wholeheartedly and stuff that we not necessarily like adjusted to, because so often like our self-worth is tied into what we do for other people and how they respond to what we do for them, as opposed to who we are as ourselves and how people respond to who we are as ourselves. So that's just I think it kind of even ties back into just like how I was saying, like the femininity is like discovering who you are and stuff, and like considering like the multiple different options and stuff. Whereas like, yeah, masculinity is like, this is who I am and I'm going to act on it and I'm not going to think twice about it, because like, what's the point of thinking twice about it? Like, that's who I am. But yeah, that's true. Just showing up as your most authentic self and saying what the hell people got to say about it. Or, you know, if you fucking with me, then but if you're not, then laters. That's like taking me back to, I remember, okay, last little tale. I remember, okay, this actually is not super related, but just like when showing up as myself, when I had came to like Newcastle, I think it was probably Freshers Week or so. I'm not exactly sure, but it was these girls, like I was hanging out with actually Sinead and someone else. So two English gals, and it was these other girls sitting at this table, and we wound up oh yeah, it was my other friend Millie, and we wound up going to sit with these other like British girls at the table and stuff, and like we were really nice. Like we just wanted to meet new friends and stuff because it was fresh and stuff. So my one friend Millie, she had the shrink, so she was like, she guided us to this random table and was like, let's go chat and stuff. And the thing is, I felt like we were like just trying to show up, like be cool, like just be ourselves and meet new people, but they were just really like, no, like we don't want no new people, like we don't want no new engagement or anything, which I respect, because I don't be necessarily caring to make new friends, because I tell you, maintaining relationships are a lot. But yeah, it's just, you know, in that moment, I remember like saying, because two of the girls had went to the bathroom, and I said to the one girl who sat there, because I felt like everybody had left the table or whatever, I said to the one girl who was there, I was like, because I thought that they were like, do I even care to finish the story? I might as well. I'm already made it this far. Okay. But at the table, I was like, oh my gosh, like they were texting and not really looking up at us and stuff, and like doing a lot of laughing, texting, like looking at each other, like, you know, them looks and stuff that you like, are they texting and talking, laughing about us? And so they had left the table stuff, because I was like, you know, they could be doing anything, but they left the table and stuff. And with the one girl there, I feel like the other two girls I was with, they left too. It was just me and the one girl. And I was just like, I feel like y'all like probably talking about us or something like that. So I think I'm gonna just leave and go find my friends or something wherever they are. And then they had came back to me like all of them came back to me like later in the night and was like, no, we weren't like doing that, like, I'm sorry, like if we made it out to seem like that, like we were just looking at memes. And I was just like I don't know, still just like sometimes when you can just feel somebody's presence of like not really for like who you're showing up as. And I was just like, you know, I don't have time for the games. I'm older than all of y'all, so I'm gonna just peace out. And that was just my little tale that I wanted to share about trying to keep it real, trying to show up as like yourself, especially like in a new country and stuff. I feel like that's a great place where you can show up as yourself without any preconceived ideas of who you are and stuff. So I was just like, and that was when it did not work. But you know, I still went home with my girls, and that's how the cookie crumbled.
Yeah. So, Eustace, do you have any like
I got
last,
one finishing
like statements or?
touch.
Ready. Okay, go on.
To talk about, you know, the sex abuse of women. So you're saying if there was only women leaders, there would be peace. I say.
I'm not saying that. I just think that it'd be better.
Okay, would be better. I would say refer to of man and referring of women. I think the managed bullying is a lot more sort of physical. You say bad words, but the bullying of women is on another level. Like
That's true.
I couldn't
Yep.
I could not handle the
Yeah.
bullying of women. I think
I 100% agree.
so, with men, it's like, yeah, we go to wars and stuff, but women, you're gonna go the extra step. You're gonna
Because who the
annihilate everything in that land. So,
I mean, you might have a point.
that's valid because we do aim for the jugular. We be like, they be like, oh, you got a big head. We be like, and that's why, like, it just be something outrageous. It'd be like terrible. It's like, no, it's like, you're not supposed to be joking on that. But it's like, you shouldn't have played with me. You shouldn't have tried me. Now my feelings hurt because you called me big head, and your feelings are going to be just as hurt because I got something that hype you up in the same way that you hype me up. So, but which is not good necessarily. We should not be going eye for an eye, I guess. But if it comes down to it. But any lasting points for you, Kim?
No, just wanted to thank you, Justas, for finally being able to join us. It was a pleasure, of course.
For me as well.
I'm very happy that you're able to join us. Yeah.
Thank you to listeners
and
everyone for tuning in. What you were saying, Kim?
Nothing, just that.
And that is the one that. Have a good one. Peace.